Hello YouTube. So today I'd like to talk about the SKIL 20 volt brushless angle grinder. And we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if anybody's a SKIL fan, you might want to turn off now because I found some problems. Alright, but before I get into that, I'd like to talk about angle grinders. This is a Makita 4.5 inch angle grinder I bought 25 years ago when I was doing tile work. And I used it every day when I was working as a tile setter. And it just keeps working. And in my experience, an angle grinder is in the top 3 power tools you need. And of course that's just my opinion, but the drill impact being 1, power saw of any kind being 2, and number 3, the angle grinder. And to give you an idea how important an angle grinder is, you couldn't be a metal fabricator without angle grinders. It'd be impossible. You would be a blacksmith then. Welders use angle grinders all the time. And tile setters, believe it or not, use angle grinders all the time. I use it to cut circles and curves and notches out of tile, and it was much quicker and gave you more maneuverability than a wet saw. It worked really well in that area, and it's got coated with tile dust, and it just keeps going. I haven't even changed the brushes in it yet, and that was 25 years ago. And I have a set of brushes. At some point I will change, but that gives you an idea how important an angle grinder is. And this one turns at 11,000 RPM and cost me about $60 25 years ago. So that was a real good deal. Alright, well, let's look at this. This is the SKIL cordless 20 volt angle grinder, and it is solid. It is actually heavier than this. It is a solid piece of tool there, and that's the good. Comes with a 5 amp battery, and I used it a little bit earlier today. This turns at 8,500 RPM. It's a little slower than the Makita, but it seems to get the job done perfectly. And in fact, I think the lower speed might be an advantage with brushes, wire brushes, and this doesn't heat the metal quite as fast as the 11,000 RPM. So that's the good. The bad, in my opinion, the bad are these little filters, these little vents right here. It's a good idea to keep metal filings and pieces of debris out of your motor area here. And if you did tile work with this, these little metal vents, they would clog up really fast. You have to pop them off, and you would have to clean them quite often. And the bad thing about that is this is something that can get lost really easily. They just pop right out of there. So it's a good idea, but it's maybe not as secure as it could be. I would rather see them have like a little screw to hold it in place. Okay, well, let's talk about the ugly. And again, this is just my perspective. And that is just neat little lever action lockdown on the shield there. And while that seems to be great, there's a problem. And that is, it limits you to this angle, which is about 45 degrees. When I work on tile or anything, I'm holding the grinder and I'm looking down at what I'm grinding, and I usually hold it about 20 to 30 degrees. So now that I'm having to raise that angle up, it's going to create more stress on my wrist. Now I'll show you an example. You can see, I hope you can see, my arm's probably in the way. You can see the lower angle on the Makita, the way I have it set up. This is a much higher angle. And it's going to take some learning, some getting used to. I would like to see that adjusted so we could pull that shield back just a little more this way. So I don't know if I can fix that or just learn to work with it. But to me, that's really bad because I have to adjust the angle with which I use the grinder, as opposed to, I had a more straight arm, and when I was lifting up, I could do it like that, and now I have to be more in straight. But that's not a big thing for everyone. That's just, in my opinion, something I don't like. I'm not going to do any cuts here on this video, but so far that's what I'm finding with this. To sum up, this is a fully capable angle grinder, and I was using it earlier today. You don't really notice the 1500 or 2000 RPM difference. You notice it in sound. This is much quieter, but it cuts just fine. And it's surprisingly, like I said before, it's it's a little heavier than the Makita. But so far good. I made about 4 cuts with it through 1/8 of an inch steel. And I still have 4 bars. So we'll see what happens with that. And all right, well, that's all I have for today. So in conclusion, great angle grinder, not so great design in some areas. Some areas that could be improved upon. Good for the price. And it doesn't really compare to a corded angle grinder. It's just something you can carry out in the field or down at the end of the driveway or on your truck, and you don't have to plug into anything. It's ready to go. Anyway, that's it. So in conclusion, I'd like to say, be safe this weekend. Think ahead. Be wise. Try to avoid dangerous situations. All right, bye-bye.